Hello, and a very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us right here on today's session of the Living Bridge Conversations, the live series brought to you by iGlobal, your multimedia hub for and about global Indians. I'm Tony Patty, and it's a pleasure and privilege to be with you here today. And as your host for today, I'm joined by the renowned Indian classical dancer and founder of Arunima Kumar Dance Company. Arunima Kumar, hello, and a very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Tony. Thank you for having me.
It's lovely to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. So, Arunima, a big hello to you. Welcome to our show. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And as we delve deeper into conversation about various Indian classical dance forms, which is what we're here to talk about today, with Kuchipudi at its heart. But before that, a quick word for our viewers. I must just say that this show is yours too. We really would love you to use it, okay? And do drop us your comments and questions, and we'll pick them up in the course of the conversation as we go along. So here we are then with Arunima, who joins us, and we're here to talk about classical dance, in particular Kuchipudi. And I believe, Arunima, that you left a career in banking from the homework that I've done about you to become a professional Kuchipudi dancer. Now, first things first, what prompted you to this unconventional move? Because there you were, successful career in banking and then classical dancing. What's that all about?
Well, I think I enjoyed both my professions. I used to dance even as a child, and in India, and then even when I studied, I continued my dancing. I went to study finance at LSE, and after that, I worked at a few banks and consulting firms. I love my job, but I also love dancing. And at one point, I had to decide between one profession, and I said, I can live without working, but I can't live without dancing because that is, my soul food, that is my identity. And so I quit, and I actually just took a year out to focus on my dance when I was in Britain, and I realized that there is a whole opportunity set out there for Indian arts, which has not yet been explored. And I just went on and on. That's how I started my journey. So it was not really a planned move. I went into it just to focus on it for a year, and I never went back. And I remember my boss held my position back in where I used to work for over a year, and then finally I said, I am not coming back, please do hire somebody else. So it was because I had this beautiful opportunity set in England, and I really wanted Indian arts to be out there, to create a position for it. And I felt that, as somebody who's worked so hard in this field, I really wanted to take it up. And that's why I never went back.
Yeah. So who or what was your inspiration? Because it's an incredible journey, and we're talking at two extremes here. We're looking at the Western world of banking and an extreme lifestyle of one sort, and then another extreme lifestyle of classical dancing. What was your inspiration? What inspired you to suddenly have this fantastic fire burning inside you saying, I've got to do this?
Well, it was not just one, thing that inspired me. It was like a totally unplanned, but went into it, I saw that, children don't know much about Indian arts, don't know much about Indian culture, in the UK. And, these were children from the Indian diaspora. And somebody, I've grown up in Delhi. So I've had a wonderful balance of, both contemporary as well as tradition, upbringing. And I really want the children, in Britain to have that access, especially people who have, roots from India. And I felt that I understood, what the gap was because I've come from that background. So I could facilitate that for them. So it was mostly, my children, I these little workshops at Sachi Gallery. Every workshop and with every child who came in, I felt that I could do so much more. And also, at the dance scene in England. I mean, it's fabulous. We are so privileged to be here, where you get the best artists from all over the world. So just going for these performances and watching such, wonderful, inspiring work, I felt that there is so much that as an artist I could learn and I could experience and I could explore, that, just one thing led to another and it became a journey. It just started off as a kind of a little project, but then it just became my life. And I think even now I continue to be inspired when I see something beautiful on stage. And I think as an artist, there's not one thing that will inspire you. Even a little bird chirping out there, when it's sunny and beautiful, can inspire something in you, where you just want to create something out of it. So I think that for me is the most precious fact that led me to this journey. And of course, through this journey, I have learned so much, and I have really extended the way I work, the portfolio of my work. And I do, want to share a little bit more about people who feel that arts is just kind of, you go perform and then you come back. But there is just so much out there.
There is. And I find your philosophy quite intriguing. And also, I see you as a mentor for many, many people in what you do and the way that you've explained it, which is just fantastic, Arunima. Now, you've actually performed in front of royalty, and from your journey to India to the UK, which we'd love to hear a little bit more about, right up to dancing on the steps of Buckingham Palace. Tell us about that.
Well, that happened when, our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, announced that there would be an India-UK Year of Culture, which was so fabulous because it was a year-long kind of, eventful year full of Indian culture and partnerships with Britain. I think just a feast for any artist. And of course, I had the honor of choreographing and presenting my work Ekam, which means unity. So Ekam, it signifies India, because we are so diverse, yet we are one. And that is what I wanted to kind of showcase. So it was produced by Academy and as well as the Indian High Commission. And it's very interesting because when I went in to do the Reiki at the palace, it was just so beautiful. There was so much history out there. There was so much legacy out there. And then I just felt hugely responsible, because I felt, oh my God, this has to be done right. There is no scope for error. So, right, picking the team of the best dancers who really worked hard and supported me. And the interesting thing was that I have a phobia of stairs. So when we looked at those red stairs where we were going to dance, I felt extremely nervous, because even, if I ever have a choice between stairs and the lift, I will take the lift.
I was just going to say, you must have been so nervous and so frightened, because first of all, you're in Buckingham Palace. And I know how daunting it can be, because I haven't been there myself. And then here you are performing on stairs, which you have a phobia against. You must have been ever so nervous and scared, you poor thing.
Yes, but I think, I just had the goal in mind. Like from our mythology, when Arjun had to kind of, shoot the arrow into the fish eye, you just look at the fish eye. You don't look at the obstacles and the challenges and, and the glamour around you. You just focus on the goal. And I think I just focused on the goal. And yes, I practiced. We practiced on every staircase that we could find, So we went to Nehru Center. They have a little staircase. We looked at that. We said, how could we make this staircase come alive? How could we make this site as immersive as possible? And, how could we showcase our dance forms and their beauty, within this? And I think that to me was very, very beautiful. And that's when I started my site-specific kind of, work. And of course, when we went in, we looked after so beautifully. And then to sit on those sofas, which again, the silk has come from one country and the carving has come from another country, to just be part of that history and to really create history in itself, to go into that, beautiful kind of institution and showcase the best of India, I think for me, is an honor that I'm really thankful and grateful for. It
Yeah.
could be anyone.
And it's very artistic, isn't it? It's very beautiful, because I have visions of Indian classical dance forms wearing beautiful costumes. And there's almost a mystic spiritual side to this, because as we know, there's Bharatanatyam, which is the oldest dance form of India. Then you've got Kathak, which is the one of the 8 forms of ancient classical dances of India. Then you've got Kuchipudi, which is something you're an expert in, and also are talking about with us today, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the most popular traditional dance form in South India, and its origin believed to be from Andhra Pradesh. Then you've got Odissi, you've got Kathakali, you've got Satriya, Manipuri as well. So, in which way does Kuchipudi differ from all these other forms that I've mentioned with you here today?
So every dance form or every classical dance form in India has its own unique vocabulary as well as technique. So Kuchipudi, while it looks similar to Bharatanatyam, it has its own technique. The history is very different. It takes its name from the village of Kuchipudi or Kuchelapuram in Andhra Pradesh, and that village still exists. Where every house in that village kind of almost gives or dedicates one male member of their family to the dance form, even till today. So there is always a male dance teacher or a male dance student from the family even today, because it was a male dance tradition. Women were not allowed, and only male Brahmins, used to dance. And it was an operatic dance form. So it has all elements from Natya Shastra, which means you speak while dancing, you sing while dancing, you use a lot of your, abhinay, your eyes, your mudras. Your technique is very different. It's a very kind of fluid, lilting kind of dance form, but I would say also very playful, because it kind of it evolved a lot during the Bhakti movements. It has a lot of stories from Krishna, based on Krishna stories and spirituality. So I feel that it's quite playful. So it has variances. I could take a whole kind of week explaining the differences, but every dance form in India is unique in its own way and has its own very strong technique and identity, and so does Kuchipudi. And I feel for me, because I started learning it at a very young age, this is who I am, embedded in my body, and even though I'm from North India, my parents are from North India, but my mother decided that I would learn and practice Kuchipudi, and that's what I've done. So that is how the journey has begun. But of course, I love watching other dance forms, and I also take inspiration from other dance forms. And so I think that the journey continues.
I have a question for you. Do you think it's something that I could learn? Do you think I could learn to dance Kuchipudi myself?
I'm absolutely sure of that. You want to try it?
It's
So
probably taking a long time.
Right? So if you know Bhangra, I'm sure you use this mudra.
Okay, I get that.
This
mudra,
right. It's called Suchi. It's called Suchi Hasta.
Suchi Hasta, which is so you've got the forefinger, and that's it. That's the first move, isn't it?
That is the Suchi Hasta.
Suchi Hasta. Okay, I love that. Okay, Suchi Hasta. There you go. You see what I've learned from you today. You've got your forefinger sticking up, and your rest of your fist, which is clenched, with your thumb around the other fingers, and your forefinger in the upright position. Suchi Hasta.
Suchi Hasta. So every time you do Bhangra, you're using our Suchi Hasta.
Okay, better you than me, I have to say. Better you than me. It's so interesting and intriguing talking to you about this, because and what I'm picking up from our conversation today is that I feel that the Indian arts, in particular dancing, Indian dancing, and the way that you're describing it today, Arunima, is underrepresented. We're not seeing enough of it, and it is so mystical and enchanting, I think is the word I'm looking for. And it really is a very beautiful thing to see and to experience as well, not only in its live forms, but when you see it on pictures and films as well. Now, a significant part of your work, Arunima, is based around teaching dance to people with restricted abilities of all ages. It's a subject very close to my heart, working with kids with disabilities. So I'm intrigued to hear about this because I'd love to know how it all started and what is the kind of impact that it's had today on people's lives, and how did you go about this?
So it all happened when I was I think, about 15 years ago. When I was in India, I had a very tough accident and I was in coma, and I was told that I might not live. And of course, fortunately, I survived. And then when I came out, I was told I could never dance again. I could never really move the way I used to again. And that really impacted me a lot. And, uh, I think it just kind of completely crushed me at that moment. However, because I had, the will to kind of continue and do what I love, here I am. So I think it was, that trigger where I felt that why would anybody say that, I can't, or somebody cannot dance just because I probably did not have a certain, physical part that could move as well as somebody else. So I felt that, we should not have the conceived notions about people, because anything is possible. The second trigger was when I worked in a prison in India, in Tihar prison. So I want to go out there and work, with in prison on rehabilitation, because my father at that time was in police, and I saw, that level of service that he would do for the community selflessly. So, somewhere, within my sister and me, we had that training. And when I went into the prisons, again, I saw people have these preconceived notions that everybody inside a prison is a criminal, whereas what you really see is, most of them are actually, in a situation, and that is they are there. So, I just felt that have to these preconceived notions, we have to break these barriers. And I would go in and we would all dance, and and they were allowed to dance outside because they were so beautiful, and they were invited to dance at Habitat Center, which is one of the mainstream venues in Delhi. So again, that shifted people's perceptions about dance or arts and community. And then I worked with Jerome Bell, who's an amazing French choreographer, in his piece called Gala in London at Sadler's Wells. And when I went in, had people from all different genres and all abilities, and he mixed everybody up. And when I went in, I saw somebody on a wheelchair, and I said, well, how would that person dance this move? Because he's on a wheelchair, but I'm not. So I'm a trained dancer. But when the dancer on the wheelchair started dancing, he blew my mind. So I just felt that all of these experiences made me realize that it's all in our head. And that is how my work began in inclusive intergenerational practice. And I work with children with learning disabilities. I work with women who, are suffering or have suffered from cancer. I worked with, dancers, wheelchairs. I worked with, every type of person. Anybody who wants to live and wants to be happy, can dance. And that is what I feel. So if you have that bit of joy that you want to experience in life, you dance, and it costs nothing, right? So I think it's just that, it's that vision that, give access to everybody, because everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody deserves to, be artistic. And that is how we work with elderly, we work with people in open age, and anyone who comes to my dance class is equal. So whether it's a child 4 years old or somebody who's 75, my oldest student is 100 and I think 3 or 4.
Wow.
So anyone can dance, clearly.
Fantastic, inspirational, truly inspirational. And may I congratulate you on behalf of iGlobal for what you're doing for the community as well. Absolutely fantastic. That's really inspirational. We are talking with Arunima Kumar, who is with us today, talking about Indian classical dance forms, in particular Kuchipudi, at its heart. And these are the Living Bridge Conversations. Compliments of iGlobal to you. We'd love you to take part if you've got a comment or a question that you'd like to share with Arunima, who's our special guest today on our Living Bridge Conversations. We'll take a break and we'll be back right after this.
iGlobal Radio is the brand new hub of podcasts for and about global Indians. News, views, interviews, wellness, money matters, and much, much more. Tune in to iGlobal Radio at iglobalnews.com.
Now, it's all about the Living Bridge Conversations, and these have been curated and brought to you by iGlobal to bring you many such artistic journeys, such as the one we're on today with Arunima. And we also cover food recipes, musical escapades, energetic fitness routines, festive fashion, dharmic discussions, and much, much more. So stay tuned to the iGlobal social media channels for updates on our regular streams with an array of guests that embody the British Indian diaspora at Living Bridge. And of course, you, our viewers and listeners, are at the heart of these conversations. And we thank you for that. So join in with your questions and comments in the comments box, and we'll pick them up as we go along. Thank you very much indeed for being with us, by the way. Arunima, back to you, and thank you for sharing with us your inspirational journey and the wonderful things that you do with people in teaching them dance as well, which is just incredible. Now, as far as importance is concerned for British Indians and kids to learn a form of Indian classical dance, you touched on this briefly earlier on, and what's intriguing to know is that more and more people of Indian background now want to embrace the Indian culture like never before. So do you think through Kuchipudi and through classical dance and through what you do, we can bring about more understanding of Indian classical dance for British Indian kids?
Absolutely. I think it is absolutely necessary and critical for us to do that. We are so privileged to have this wonderful culture and tradition, and everything in it is so ancient and therefore so carefully drafted, so carefully researched. All our Vedas, have given the world Ayurveda. We've given the world, mathematical geniuses. So I think everything from Indian history and Indian tradition is absolutely critical for the world to know. We as Indians, have probably not understood, it as well either. So, we understand it at a very peripheral level, but there is so much depth in it. And Natya Veda, which is the fifth Veda, which was created because while everything else was there was still sadness in the universe. And so therefore that the history of Natya Veda in itself is to propagate well-being, right from those times. So it's the whole concept, needs to be understood. I think it is imperative for us to, just like now we have embraced yoga, we have embraced Ayurveda. The West has embraced turmeric latte, and now people have turmeric latte because it sounds much cooler. Whereas, our grandmothers.
We've been having turmeric in our milk and all that for ages. Haldi in milk was everything for us, and only now the Western world has discovered that.
Absolutely. So even in dance, Indian classical dance, every mudra has a scientific benefit. There is acupressure. When you touch your fingers together, they stretch and they pull on muscles, and that gives you benefit. So every aspect of Indian music, again, which corresponds to different times of day, different seasons, different states of kind of well-being. Similarly, dance, it has yoga, it has rhythm. So it teaches you maths. So I mean, I could go on about the benefits forever because there is just so much, but it is not well understood. We feel it's stuck in the past, it's boring, it's a channel that we used to kind of switch from. But I think today, there is so much of focus, and there is so much out there that if we put in that little bit of effort in understanding our own culture and teaching it to our kids, it's so imperative, because otherwise the legacy will not go forward. And I think for me, that's why I do what I do, so that this legacy lives on in the correct way, and it in the most beautiful way. And when I see children do it so beautifully and embrace it and embody it and perform, and their eyes light up, I think it's a joy I cannot describe.
No,
So
I
it's
understand that. Our culture is so strong and so deep and so colorful. It would be wrong to ignore it in any shape or form, because I have a great fondness of dancing myself, but I'm not sure that I'd actually want you or the public to see that. But let me tell you that some ways you can differentiate from different forms of dancing. Of course, you've mentioned some of those already, and you and I have discussed those today. But let's essentially talk about Kuchipudi and Bharatanatyam dance forms, because Bharatanatyam is reverence of God through dance and performance, whereas Kuchipudi evolved to tell stories and drama about Krishna and then God as well. And then what about the costumes as well? So I've given you kind of like 2 or 3 different scenarios there. What's your take on this, Arunima? Because Kuchipudi, as opposed to other dance forms, and also the dress that you wear for Kuchipudi, does it differ in other ways?
So yeah, they're all saris tied in different ways. In the olden times, we would tie saris, right? So every part of India ties sari in a different way. So it's the same. And as I said, because historically men used to dance, they would tie it in a dhoti style. It's a difference in the way the costume looks, but they're very minor differences. And because they both were part of the Madras presidency, the Arama position or the half sit that you see in a lot of the temples as well, replicated, are common to both dance forms. So they're all for spiritual purposes. It's not for religious purposes, but it was all for spiritual purposes. As I said, the entire reason for dance to be created, or the Natya Veda, which is theater, to be created, was to provide well-being, to provide joy to people, true joy and not materialistic joy. So all of the classical dance form have that as their main goal. And it's just the tools are different, the techniques are different. All of them are about storytelling, because again, through those stories, there's always a good hidden message at the end, a moral message. And last year during the lockdown, I created a project called Katha, which means storytelling, where I paired children with their grandparents, most of whom were based in India, and all of us was isolating. So on these screens, the grandparent would come up with those most ancient, beautiful, forgotten folk tales and narrate them to the children, while the children depicted them through dance. And we, created these digital works and videos, which were then by British Council. So these are of course, differences will lie in the technique and in the mode, but all of the Indian classical dance forms, that's the main motive, just, true joy and spirituality. And
I love the way that you mentioned that you're bringing communities together, even from thousands of miles away. That's such a brilliant initiative. And you use the term katha to bring people together. And that must have been ever so rewarding for both sides, not just for you, the person who's initiating it, but for both sides in different parts of the world to be part of that. That must have been amazing for you.
Yes. Could you repeat that question, because I lost you for a minute there?
Maybe the signal's not brilliant, but when you're bringing together people from different parts of the world, and both young and old together, and you use the term katha to bring these people together, that must have been incredible for you.
It was absolutely a joy. So we didn't know what it would look like, but for example, we started with my daughter, who's now 8, and she was 7 at the time, and I worked with my father, who was from Bihar. So I asked him to narrate a Bhojpuri folk tale to her, and then because she learns dance, I asked her to, dramatize it. And the product was so beautiful that we, recorded it, and then we made similar such videos. And a lot of grandparents, used their native language. So, there was, somebody who sang a Tamil song, a grandmother, and the granddaughter danced, to that song. Somebody danced to Rajasthani folktales. So from all over India, we were able to create these stories. And then we extended it because the project was so popular. We extended it to other people. And there is a beautiful Russian story, and her grandmother lives in Kazakhstan, and she did the same. So it was fabulous. So things like that, which kind of really bring out the best from our culture, and innovative projects is something at the heart of what I do. And bringing people together. I mean, I'm now working on Critical Mass, which is for the Commonwealth Games for 2022. And again, it's going to be one of the largest inclusive intergenerational projects, bringing people from different abilities, different places together, and dancing for the opening ceremony. So there are lots of these beautiful opportunities that now are kind of coming forward, because the world sees there is equality, and I'm a huge believer and a very strong advocate for diversity and inclusion, and I always have been, even when that was not a buzzword. So I'm really glad to see that that's actually coming into shape and coming into forum right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. On a final note, then, Arunima, what would you say to our viewers and listeners who may feel that it's too late in life to learn to dance the form of Kuchipudi or Indian classical dance? What would you say to those people?
Oh, no, not at all. It's never too late to dance. It's never too late to live. It's never too late to be happy.
There's hope for me yet.
Come to a dance class. As I said, my oldest is 103, and she comes to the dance class, and of course she does it on Zoom now, and she holds her mudras, and gives us all a huge competition. So I think there's no really right age. It's when you feel it's right for you. And so get up and dance. If you want to be fit physically and mentally and happy, then dance. But Biju Maharaj told me that kala ka saath nahi chhodna, kala hi saath deti hai, which means art will always be your best friend, and indeed it has. So it holds my hand wherever I go. It is my identity wherever I go. So I would say that to you, just get up and dance.
Brilliant. That's a brilliant statement. We'll take a short break and we'll be back just after this.
Thank you.
iEntertainment is brought to you by iGlobal for all the latest film and series reviews, starry interviews and cinema listings covering Bollywood and beyond to reflect a truly pan-Indian entertainment spectrum. Check out the latest at iglobalnews.com.
So, Arunima, I must say what a pleasure and privilege it's been talking with you today. And we've got Meena, who's been on the line, and she says that Indian culture and our traditions are being chased globally now. Spiritually, too, has holistic wellness embedded in it. And Meena says that she's so happy that we're actually on here talking about this, which is wonderful. What a nice message from Meena, which is just great. So, and they're sending their compliments to you as well, Arunima. So that's fantastic.
So much, and I completely agree. I have students from Brazil, Poland, and they all embrace Indian culture. It's so beautiful to see that happen. So it's really wonderful that there is an appreciation of Indian arts, everywhere in the world. Even the smallest that I went to dance in, Australia, starting from Sydney Opera House to Canberra Festival, and then went to Perth, small little theatre there. people knew about dance and about Shiva and about Parvati, and it was so wonderful. So it's really nice that today there is a global understanding and appreciation, and we as Indians have to be very proud of that.
Arunima, I must ask you, is there a future in Indian classical dance, in particular Kuchipudi? Because the way the world is evolving, and I have to ask you this question before we say our goodbyes, what is the future of Indian classical dance?
I feel that there is a huge future and there is a bright future. When I started out, I don't think so, because at that time people would look down at me and say, "What do you do?" And I said, "I dance." And say, yeah, but what do you do? Say, I do. I'm a Kuchipudi dancer. So it was definitely not a career of choice. But if I look at what I have done, perhaps I didn't have that in my mind, but not just my portfolio of performances. And I'm quoting, my example, not because I want to brag about it, but just as an example that there is so much you can do. I mean, I've performed in 60 countries as a cultural ambassador, right from Sydney Opera House to Olympics to, of course, Palace, to small cities in India like Mahir, where there is even no electricity. So the experiences that you have, you will probably not have in another profession. The kind of scope that you can do, the kind of joy you can share with others and communities that you can build. I work with 150 of my students now, and I don't like to build a factory model, but just by word of mouth, we have built this team, and through them an extended team of over 1,500 artists that we support worldwide. We raised money for artists last year who were struggling during the pandemic. So there is just so much that you can do. It's not one aspect of dance, it's just everything that revolves around it, and it's your portfolio. It's how you want to build it. So I work in performance, choreography, teaching, artist development, community service. I can go on. So it's almost like the world is kind of my platform. I don't do just one thing, and I think that is the power of arts, that it's not limiting you to one office that you go to and come back, or now perhaps just work from home in this with the screen, but there's just so much out there that you can do. And also, just to also add, last year during the pandemic, our world crashed down, but there were so many new doors that opened. We worked with this travel company who, wanted to make immersive experiences. And right here sitting in my house, I could create an immersive experience, about India, about Indian dance. So I think the world is opening up. Even Amazon has contacted us for doing, such more experiences. So there is a lot out there. If you want to take it up as a profession, I'm very happy to, mentor, young people into this journey, because it's not easy. It's a lonely journey. But as I said, art is your best friend. So if you want to take it up, the world will be your platform. And I guarantee you happiness always.
We've learned so much from you today. Arunima Kumar, classical dancer and founder of Arunima Kumar Dance Company. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your thoughts and insights with us. Truly inspirational. And I wish I had more time to talk with you, because you're such a great person to talk with as well. And we thank you. Honestly, we thank you for joining us right here on iGlobal for the Living Bridge Conversations. Arunima, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody. And I hope some of you will get up and start dancing. So thank you so much.
Definitely convinced. We are definitely convinced. So that's the end of today's show. And remember, you can also play back any of the past sessions under the video section of iGlobalnews.com or on our Facebook and YouTube channels. They are there for you to use, so make sure you please do use them. And for more Living Bridge Conversations, stay tuned at iGlobalnews.com. That's iGlobalnews.com. Meanwhile, do keep your feedback and comments and questions coming in at info@iGlobalnews.com. And until next time, from Arunima and myself, Tony Patty, thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye for now.